National Assembly resumes plenary. House of Reps Speaker denies comparing Boko Haram to other secessionist groups. Borno Senator criticizes President Buhari's external borrowing. This is the Hallowed Chambers. I am Tijesu Adeoye. The National Assembly has resumed plenary after its annual long recess as lawmakers settle down to begin legislative duties. President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, told his colleagues that the appropriation for the 2022 fiscal year should ensure adequate funding for the security agencies.
National Assembly approved over 800 billion naira for our security and intelligence agencies. While that provision was appropriate and indeed necessary, we should sustain the trajectory of increase in funds and resources to the security sector. Therefore, we should consider a ramp-up of more resources for our security agencies in the 2022 appropriation. This also requires that our defense and intelligence-related committees step up their oversight on the agencies.
Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, also cleared the air about a misinterpretation of his comments where he talked about the fight against insecurity and other separatist groups. He insists at no time did he compare Boko Haram to IPOB and other secessionist groups in the country.
It's rather unfortunate. We're all proud of the journalism profession, but unfortunately, some people have taken it, I call it, so many words to describe it, yellow journalism, junk journalism, uninspiring journalism, when you intentionally misquote people for whatever agenda that you may have. We'll continue to appeal to our journalists to discourage this unprofessional use of a habit of clickbaiting. I stand by, and I want to repeat for emphasis what I said yesterday. There's a new group of people who masquerade as separatists, different from the genuine separatists, the real separatists, the real activists. These people are just criminals who go around killing people, maiming, destroying property, stopping students from working, from going to school for taking exams. Those are not the activists we know. I mean, separatism and activism those are genuine things that people we've all lived with over the years, and we know how they go about it. Not the ones we see now, the criminals we see now. And I'm glad that even the Southeast Caucus of the National Assembly yesterday issued a communique and said exactly the same thing I said, exactly the same thing I said on the floor, where they separated those people from the real agitators. So I will put that to rest, and I will encourage our journalists to please continue or try to, as best as possible, report exactly what transpires on the floor of this House.
Chairman Senate Committee on Army has faulted the hasty approval of President Buhari's external borrowing request. He says the current debt profile of 35 trillion naira is worrisome.
Like you now, it's not wrong for you to go and borrow money in the bank to buy a car, especially when you have children that you have to take to school, your wife, and all that. Then you have that your salary to pay, gradually, and you plan that you pay in 5 years, you are done with it, and then you have your car. Because if you have to buy the car, you don't have the money in the first place. So borrowing to you becomes a necessity. But when you borrow and you cannot buy fuel, then you can continue borrowing to buy fuel, and you give that car as what do you call it? Collateral. So, I don't support that. If you cannot fuel the car, just don't go and borrow. And then you come and use the car as a collateral to be collecting fuel from the filling station to carry your children to the school. I don't support that. So it is not the borrow. And this borrowing that the president now sent to the National Assembly is part of the approved external borrowing plan.
We will take a short break. When we return, we will talk to the spokesman, House of Representatives. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We'll delve straight into our interview with the spokesman of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you for inviting me.
The National Assembly has just resumed for the third leg of the fourth-year session. What should Nigerians be expecting?
As you know, the second leg of this particular night assembly, we made tremendous impact. We sustained the budget cycle, the calendar, back to back. Many never believed that it was possible, but we achieved that. And we also broke the jinx with regards to the PIB that has become PIA. You know, to change that last alphabet from B to A was a big thing that lasted for about 20 years. And I'm happy that we showed determination, because that remains what this nation needed. Needed in the sense that we are currently having energy transition from fossil fuel to alternative sources of energy. And if we don't do anything with regards to the legal framework governing the sector, we'll lose out. And as they say, it's teaching time, it says now. We decided to take the bull by the horn. Against all odds, we push it out. And this is being celebrated the world over, and also the IOCs. And we're sure it's going to add value to the revenue of this country, which is one of the most important things at the moment. Let me say this, coming back to the third leg, we have a few things, some that were unfinished in the last year, which we must start this year, one of which remains the Electoral Act. As you are aware, Nigerians are not interested in having the next election with the current Electoral Act. So they need to change it because of the gaps that is existing within the political space at the moment, and in the legal framework cannot be overemphasized. Therefore, we are going to be looking at the remaining clause, which is what is left for us to resolve, the famous clause 58.2 for the House of Rep and 58.3 for the Senate. Usually there is this desire to represent or to reflect in any piece of legislation the hunger of the people who elected us to be here, and in the wisdom of the leadership of the House and that of the members of the House of Representatives. It was obvious that what Nigerians wanted was to allow the unbiased umpire to decide on the mode for the transmission of result, whether it be electronic or manual. That we are going to resolve with the Senate, who believes that there should be a precondition by a third party, an extra authority, for them to decide on whether or not to go either of this route. And in parliamentary proceeding, when issues like these arise, it calls for what is known as the conference committee. The conference committee will have the two chambers sit to cross the T's and to dot the I's. And this is what we're expecting that will happen as we have resumed one of the first days of this resumption.
I know that issue of recalcitrant MDAs has been on with the parliament for a while now, and it does appear that the National Assembly only backs and never bites.
It would be unfair to the MDAs to say that their participation in the last two budgets did not witness full participation when compared to what it used to be before the Ninth Assembly. Because of the mandate from the President and all heads of MDAs, because of that mandate, most of the MDAs were asked to cancel all the overseas trip to attend to the call by the Parliament. And to be honest, they really complied with that directive. So we have enjoyed sufficient participation by the MDAs. But for these ones that the Finance Committee invited, they'll be given a second chance to come. And I'm sure they're going to come. But beyond that, we discovered also that some MDAs were not remitting funds adequately. Some were under-remitting. Some were not remitting at all. And if you ask them, they will tell you that the Establishment Act did not allow them to remit to the Federation account. And we need this money as government to solve the various needs of this country. So one of the things we're going to look at will be how to rejig some of those legislations that excuse some MDAs from remitting to the Federation account. And one of the things we're going to look at also is to find out why some are not remitting fully. So on one part is remitting nothing, another one is remitting partially. Another thing we're going to look at is to see how to investigate the discrepancy with the data presented by agencies like the Custom, like the PPRA, Equalization Fund, and Customs. They are not tallying. It's not synchronizing with other information that we have. And we're going to look at what actually is happening. Even DPR is an NMPC. So especially as it concerns the actual daily production of crude oil, we need to establish that, as well as daily consumption of PMS, which we need to really look at. Another thing we're going to look at is the proposal of this MTEF that pegged 26% of the 13.98 trillion that will be the expenditure framework for the 2022 budget. We're going to look at why is this T26? Because of the oil subsidy that a lot of money that's supposed to go to capital projects is being used to do other things. We are looking at how to mop up and close up all those gaps to ensure that we'll be able to get a budget that speaks to the needs of Nigerians, not just a garbage in, garbage out budget, because we noticed that some MGAs were recycling their budget without doing proper needs analysis.
You've talked so much about the medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper. The question on the lips of many Nigerians is, when will Mr. President lay the 2022 appropriation bill?
Yes, I am sure once the report is laid before the National Assembly and we consider the report of the Finance Committee on the MTEF, as usual, the President will be back in no distant time to present the budget. We are looking at, if possible, before the end of this month or next month. We'll have it to enable us commence work so that we can achieve our...
That means there's no communication yet from the presidency.
On the budget, when they are coming, we are still expecting that. But I'm sure their liaison person between the presidency and the House must have informed them that we are yet to consider the report. But the President has kept to time with regards to the 2020 budget and also 2021 budget. He didn't miss the timing, and I'm sure this 2022 budget he's not going to miss the timing as well.
Insecurity remains Nigeria's greatest challenge, and the Speaker did allude to the readiness of the Parliament to bring legislations that will redress the situation. But he was also quoted to have equated separatist activists to terrorists.
No, that was a wrong reportage. The Speaker will never say such thing. I was not in chamber when this happened, but I read through the votes and proceedings. I read through his address, as well as I interviewed him, and I also read through the response from his chief press secretary, or the spokesperson of the Speaker. And what the Speaker was trying to say, he was not attacking IPOB, neither was he attacking the Oduduwa agitators. He was saying that people are hiding. People who are not the true agitators are hiding under that they are agitating for IPOB or Oduduwa Republic and committing harm. Is that the truth? The answer is yes, because I've seen a notice that was issued by, I think, IPOB, circulating around that people should not be using their name to commit crime, and which is the truth. So he was addressing those who are seeing the agitation as a tool to go into violence and criminality. And as a leader in this country, he had the right to speak against that. And the House aligned herself fully with the position of the Speaker on that particular point. Because when we're searching security, we should not just focus on the one that is coming from either the bandits or the herdsmen and or the unknown gunmen. Let us also focus on those who are naturally armed robbers or kidnappers and looking for space to use their label to freely conduct such criminality.
One challenge thrown by traditional rulers at the Security Summit organized by the House was the need to engage the youths who are at the center of the crisis rocking the nation. In what ways has the Parliament factored that into your intervention against the backdrop of the 9 security bills developed from that summit?
Of course, I believe with that proposition that youths, the energy of the nation, the energy of the federal constituencies, the energy of any state should be involved, because majority of the people causing the mayhem, they are also youths. Majority of them are youths, and youths understand the language of fellow youths. Any planning you are doing without incorporating them, it will be an exercise in futility. Therefore, it is a good strategy for all our plans to include the youths. In my federal constituency, I work with the youths. When there was that disturbance of unknown gunmen harassing people all around, I set up a strong youth structure to be able to help in protecting our people. And it works. When they finally bombed the police station, those who are the police ran away, people protecting my communities at the moment are the youths. And that is a grassroots. So I believe that the summit should go beyond having it in Abuja to our federal constituencies. We should have security summits in our local government, in our state. The grassroots should understand what we are talking, the language of the summit, and we're able to carry it to ensure that we have security in our place.
It's 1 year of NSAS protests. Would you say it achieved its aim?
The protests showcased the youths in the display of their organizational skills, in the display of their exposure, in the display of their learning and the experience they have acquired, until it was bastardized by miscreants. They were together and they showed that truly they remain the energy of the nation. My challenge to the youths is that it should go beyond that. You should be able to use the same energy in providing efficient, transparent, effective leadership for good governance of this country. If you love this country so much that you were sleeping on the street, asking for what you wanted change, the same way you can choose a candidate in various locations of this country, even at the national level, and say, this is our candidate. You stand by that candidate that understands your dreams and your vision, that understands your pain, and then begin to push the agenda. The same way you contributed money, to support your agenda then, you could do the same, so that it will now become an old fashion to always claim that the old ones are always taking up the position of power. Who told you you cannot galvanize effort? Who says you cannot come together and begin to decide on how many governorship candidates that you want from any party? The party will not be an issue, just the youth coming together for national development. Because it will be a gift to this nation if you give good leadership wherever you find yourself. The response of the national government to the youth, they managed the situation. I must give it to the federal government. That station would have been escalated beyond what we saw. So they manage it, but beyond managing it, there should be more engagement. I expected that the federal government ought to have gotten either a commission or something, a committee set up to interact with these people who participated from all walks of life in that engagement. They will become a block of new stakeholders to discuss with on issues of national importance, especially as it affects the youth. I'm not seeing that integration into what is happening. National government has a role to play there.
That's all on our program this week. You can watch a repeat broadcast on Sunday. Also watch on TVC News YouTube channel. Do not forget to subscribe, like, and share. Thank you for watching. My name is Tijesu Adeoye. See you next time.